Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mithun, and in this YouTube tutorial I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot your OBS software if you're seeing a black screen even after doing everything that the professionals tell you to do. So by the end of this tutorial you will have a clear idea as to how to resolve various issues that you might face in OBS regarding the black screen of death, and you will also learn how to maneuver between settings and how to tackle these issues if they keep on happening again and again. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. As you can see, I have the OBS screen on my computer right now, and let me go to the scene 2. Scene 2 is a new scene that I created by clicking on the plus icon. So if you're seeing the black screen of death, which looks something like this, the first thing that you need to see is that if you have any scene selected, or if the selected scene in your scenes panel is actually having any resources or not. This is the most common issue that most people face while actually using OBS, because OBS is not such a beginner friendly platform. What I mean by saying that is that if you're a complete beginner and you don't know anything about managing softwares of such complexity, OBS will look like a nightmare to you. And for that particular reason, I recommend my students to use PepoCloud instead of OBS, because OBS is an open source platform, so they don't actually provide you with much customer support. The documentation is also not really that great, but PepoCloud has a really strong community of developers who pump out great quality documentation, and also the customer support is solid if in case you get stuck using the platform somewhere. But I haven't had any issues with PepoCloud in the last 7 months. So if you're not having any luck with the OBS, go check out PepoCloud at pepocloud.com. And you can just sign up and use the web application right away. Now, as I was saying that the scene that you have selected might not have any sources, so go ahead and start adding the sources in order to get rid of this particular black screen of death. And I have to be very candid with you. This is not such a stupid mistake, because many people make this. I made this when I was actually starting out with OBS. I had set up a scene and everything was going well, and there was no errors on my screen, but suddenly I ended up clicking this particular plus icon on my screen by mistake, and then after that I was not able to find any sources, and it was a nightmare. But later on I actually found the problem and resolved it. So if you're also dealing with the same problem, make sure to click on this plus icon and add sources before actually starting recording. Or you can actually delete the scene by clicking on the delete button and clicking on the yes button, and have just one scene to start with. If you have just one scene, there will be no problem in managing OBS. And especially talking about the performance of OBS, it may degrade depending on the configuration that you have in your computer. If you don't have a really powerful computer at your disposal, OBS might not work properly and may cause some errors with the codecs and drivers that you have, and it will also show you the black screen of death similar to this one. So that was the first scenario in which you might have actually created a scene but forgot to add any sources to that particular scene. So now the second scenario is that you have a working computer that is pretty old and outdated, but it is somehow working with many softwares and applications that you use on a regular basis for your work. For example, Excel 2006 and similar softwares. But OBS is a really new software and it gets updated every now and then. So it requires you to have a good software and hardware experience on your computer. If you have really outdated hardware from like a decade old store, it will not actually work properly. So the first thing that you need to do is to actually invest in a quality computer. You can easily get a quality computer for $600 on Amazon if you want, and once you get started with that particular computer, you will see that all of these issues that you're having with the OBS will cease to exist. I strongly recommend you to purchase a laptop instead of a desktop computer, because laptop already comes with an inbuilt microphone and a web camera, which means that you don't have to invest on these two equipment separately. Also, OBS may show you errors if you don't have a sweet configuration of your webcam and microphone with OBS. So make sure to actually pay attention to that when you are spending money on your next computer. If you are using Apple Mac, you don't have to worry about anything. If there is an issue of black screen, it might be that the OBS software is outdated and you might have to reinstall it and download it from the OBS project website. Now, the third issue that most people face is that they barely actually update their drivers. See, OBS might be a lightweighted software when you download it, but after installation and when it is actually capturing audio and video from multiple sources, it is a very heavy software. It uses a lot of CPU, especially if you are actually removing your green screen with it. It actually takes in a lot of CPU resources. For example, as you can see that my green screen has been removed by OBS. So it is obviously using a lot of server resources at my end, and that's the reason why I have closed all the applications before actually starting OBS in the first place. So you also have to follow the same strategy. When you use OBS, don't use any other software that requires a lot of CPU resources. And if your computer has less than 8 GB RAM, you just cannot use any other software when OBS is running, or you just don't use any special effects or filters with any particular source in OBS, because adding more filters to your source will increase the usage of CPU, and this will actually create complications if your CPU cannot handle this much overload. So keep that in mind. You can also check if your drivers are up to date or not. In Windows today, many people actually don't update their drivers, which makes their computers really outdated and prone to security attacks. OBS may sometime find it really hard to work with the old softwares and old drivers. So make sure that you keep all the drivers updated at all times. It is not only good for OBS, but OBS's compatibility, but it is also good for your computer's health and security. The last tip that I want to give you is that make sure that you are not actually using multiple streaming applications at the same time. See, many people download OBS and many people download Streamlab OBS, which is a sort of a commercialized version of OBS that you can download for free, but you can also upgrade to a premium version if you want. So if you have Streamlabs and OBS at the same time running in the background, OBS might not function properly, because these two softwares are essentially the same thing. They both may actually create problems with each other, and you won't be able to actually rectify the error even after following all the steps mentioned in this video. So keep that in mind when you're actually using OBS, because OBS is a very powerful software. You just need to know how to use this. So that was my tutorial for this particular troubleshooting session. I hope you are able to resolve all your OBS issues with this particular tutorial. If you have any doubts, please drop them in the comment section below. Like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will see you in my next tutorial. Till then, take care and bye-bye.